Pro-Palestinian protests on UMass Amherst campus continue after an unauthorized encampment protest erupted into chaos, where more than 100 people involved in that unauthorized encampment were arrested.
Western Mass News reporter Glenn Kittle joins us live from outside the UMass Student Union with more on this latest protest. Glenn, what did you see out there this afternoon?
Yeah, Chris, Abby, hundreds of students and faculty gathered right here in front of the Student Union to protest the use of force by police last night that broke up Tuesday night's encampment. They're also continuing to send their message, calling for the university to divest funds from military groups connected to the ongoing crisis in Gaza. Hundreds of UMass Amherst students once again rallying for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Reset up the encampment in light of the invasion of Rafah, which I think can't be forgotten in this entire conversation. That is why we are protesting. We are asking the school to not have a hand in the brutal genocide that's going on.
The latest demonstration on Wednesday follows Tuesday night's encampment protest.
Taken away endless plan.
UMass students setting up tents and barricades, once again calling for the university to divest from companies tied to the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, with a show of support from members of the faculty and others in the community. The encampment against the school's code of conduct and land use policies following unsuccessful negotiations between university officials and protesters. Police in riot gear moved in, making over 100 arrests on the night. Emmanuel Sussman was among those arrested. She and her fellow demonstrator, Ruya Hazayan, tell Western Mass News what they witnessed as students were zip-tied and sent to jail.
Some of the sweetest, friendliest people I know get chosen out of a crowd and tackled to the ground by the police. An 11-year-old boy was threatened. They said they were going to call DC Child Protective Services on his mother.
They started arresting random people in the crowd. They started tasing people, tackling people for just filming them. It was absolutely lawless.
As of Wednesday morning, we're told UMass Amherst police have booked 109 people with charges pending for 25 others. Those arrested Tuesday night were released earlier Wednesday morning on $40 bail and will be arraigned on Monday morning in Belchertown District Court. Sussman and Hazayan tell Western Mass News the risk of arrest is worth getting their message across to UMass officials.
There was no riot until the chancellor created a riot by calling the riot police. It was a peaceful protest. We were chanting.
What does it mean to get arrested for an hour or two or even 10 when people in Palestine that we are doing this for are actively bombed, when the only safe zone left in Gaza, which is right now Rafah, is being bombed?
And a group of UMass Amherst's largest unions are condemning the university's response to Tuesday night's encampment, saying in part, quote, the 5 largest unions at UMass Amherst, representing thousands of staff, faculty, and graduate workers, condemn the ongoing criminalization of free speech, the over-policing of campus, the infliction of violence upon our students, and the administration's decision to endanger the health and safety of the entire campus rather than negotiate solutions. We also asked demonstrators if they plan on protesting at UMass Amherst graduation. They told us that they don't plan on making that ceremony business as usual and that you can expect protesters in the crowds during that ceremony. Reporting live in Amherst, Glenn Kittle for Western Mass News.
Glenn, thank you.